our prompt is looking good, but we have a few things we need to do to make it complete. We need to add fade effects like we did with the text box just to make it look nice. We need to also add a sound effect so that it pops up with the sound. We also need to make it disappear when you walk away from a character, and make it disappear if a text box pops up. We can do it those first two parts right now. Open up your obj_prompt object. Again, you can find it in your asset browser, wherever you've organized it. And go to the events window. Let's add an event and add a create event. I'm going to type in a basic description here. And we're going to just put in some simple variables. So I'll title this prompt variables. We're going to add something called fade me, but we're actually going to give it a string as a value. I'll explain this a little later on. We're also going to add fade speed. This is similar to what we did with the text box. And we're going to give it a quick number here, 0.1. And we're going to add image alpha, which if you recall is a built-in variable. And we're going to set it to 0. Let's just make a new line. And let's go ahead and deal with the sound effect. Just like we did with the text box object, we're going to have the prompt play a sound effect every time it's created. And that'll make sure that the sound effect is synced with when it pops up. It's a simple way to get this done. So I'll add a comment, play UI sound, and we're going to use that audio play sound function once again. Audio play sound. And let's choose sound pop 2. That should have been one of the other assets you imported before. And we're giving the priority 1. Again, it doesn't really matter in this case. 1's fine. And we do not want it to loop. So the third argument is going to be a 0. Let's add our animation next. So in the object editor for your obj_prompt object, go to events, click add event, and choose step and the regular step of it. I'm going to add a simple description here. And rather than type out the entire code block, I'm just going to paste it in and then explain it. So there we go. Now you'll notice that this is a switch function, and this is essentially the same code as the code that was in the text box object. You can see that here in the text box object's step event. However, there's one important difference. In the text box object, we use numbers as the values for our fade me variable. Remember in the create event, it said fade me equals 0. And then here it was checking for two cases, 0, 2. But up here in our prompt, we said fade me equals fade in as a string. And we have two cases here, fade in and fade out. Well, there's no secret trick here. This is just to demonstrate the flexibility you have with variables and their values. As far as GameMaker Studio 2 is concerned, either solution is fine, so you can experiment with what makes sense to you. However, one important thing to note, when you're using text strings for values like this, there's always a chance that you can misspell something when checking for them or trying to edit them later, and that can cause issues. If you do use strings like this, you have to be very careful because they do need to be exact. So if you'll notice here in the step event, we have an alarm that we want to call in order to destroy our prompt object, similar to what we did with the text box. So we're going to need to add an alarm event to this object. However, rather than do this the long way, let's show you something new and make this a lot quicker. Open up your text box object and go to its events panel. It's already got an alarm 0 because we had programmed this before to destroy the text box. You can go ahead and right click on that and choose copy event. And if you go to your prompt object, you can right click in the events panel, choose paste event, and you just pasted that event. So you don't have to recreate it from scratch. Now in the alarm 0 that we've just pasted into the prompt object, we just want to delete this line that says player control equals true. Because we're not doing anything with the global.playerControl variable here, so we don't need that. We just want to run this line that says instance destroy. This is just a handy way to get a bunch of work done much more quickly than if you manually typed everything and created all events over and over and over again. So with that done, let's run the game again and just make sure that our prompt is fading in nicely. I'll walk over to the teacher.
Hello.
Now we can see that the prompt fades in and it's playing that popping sound. It doesn't fade out just yet. We'll have to do that part in the next step.